Hello there. Tonight, we are not going to talk about grand empires. We are not going to talk about wars or kings or dates that you have to memorize. We are leaving all of that behind. We are walking away from the noise, away from the concrete, away from the ticking clocks and the bright screens. We are going back, far, far back, to the very edge of the woods and the edge of the water. Tonight, we're stepping into a different kind of story. Not the shining legend, but the cold, heavy truth beneath the armor of the earth. You won't find dragons here, or flawless heroes. Just a life built on duty, fear, and the quiet grind of surviving in the soil. Through endless fields, broken sleep, and the slow fade of the day. If this journey helps you find peace, and you find true value in this stillness, please feel free to like the video and subscribe. It lets me know that this work is helping someone find their rest. And please, let me know in the comments where you are listening from and what time it is. It is oddly comforting to know that, even across great distances, someone else is drifting off to the same slow march through history. The wind moves through the grass with a long, dry and rhythmic hiss. Shh. Shh. The slender blades of grass lean into each other, swaying in a slow, hypnotic wave, back and forth, back and forth. They are the messengers of the deep mountains, carrying the ancient memories of the ancestors down to the silent plains. The girl closes her eyes and lets the sound wash over her entire being. She is learning to be a vessel. She's learning that to hear the gods, you must first become as empty and as silent as a ceramic jar. You must let the mist enter your mind until there are no thoughts left, no worries, no names, only the pure sensation of existence, only the vibration of the wind. Breathe in the grey mist. Let it fill your lungs with the wisdom of the rain. Breathe out the silence. Let it carry away the weight of your tired mind. The scent of a small, smouldering hearth fire drifts through the heavy air, mingling with the moisture of the rain. It is the smell of roasting grain, dried seaweed and mountain herbs, the comforting smell of the village circle. It is a warm, earthly sound, but for the girl it feels distant, ghostly, as if she is watching the world from the bottom of a deep, crystal-clear well. She is the bridge, and a bridge is always alone, stretched between the world of men and the world of shadows. This is her first, sacred taste of the divine loneliness. It is not an empty void. It is a space that the universe itself fills with its own ancient and subharmonic music. She feels the pulse of the earth rising through the wooden stilts of the granary, a low, powerful thrum that matches the swelling of the rice seeds in the dark mud below. Look at the single grain of rice she holds in the center of her palm. It is tiny, hard, and unremarkable to the eye. Yet within its golden, protective husk, it carries the entire blueprint of a civilization. It holds the ancient heat of the sun and the cold memory of the rain. As she holds it, she feels a tiny, thrumming vibration, the life force of 1,000 years waiting to be released. This is the beginning of the Great Ascension, the transformation of a scattered, wandering people into a unified, powerful empire. But it does not begin with a war or a shout. It begins here, in this boring, quiet moment of a girl listening to the mud. It begins with the profound realization that the gods do not always speak in thunder and fire. They speak in the sound of a single, solitary drop of rain hitting a broad leaf. Tink. The sound is microscopic, almost invisible, yet it rings through the very center of her being like a great bronze bell. The mist around her begins to swirl and turn, forming slow, ethereal and ghostly shapes in the dim twilight. These are the first faces in the smoke, the first shadows of the Kido, the way of the spirits. She does not move. She does not blink. She is as still and as permanent as a stone mirror reflecting the infinite sky. The transition is complete. The girl has found the frequency of the land. And as the majestic, indigo night begins to settle over the wet fields, she realizes that she will never be just a girl of the village again. She has become the first breath of the oracle, the first sigh of the great queen. Feel your own breathing slowing down now, matching her deliberate, ancient rhythm. The water of the paddies is dark, obsidian and unmoving. The wind in the grass has softened to a mere, ghostly whisper. The weight of the mist is now a warm blanket of comfort, tucking your soul into the protective soil of the past. There is no more labor to perform. There is no more time to count. There is only the rain, only the mud, and the slow, beautiful and eternal pulse of the ancient islands. Sink down, further and further, into the grey, into the silence, into the absolute peace of the very first grain. Let the history books fade into a distant dream. Let the names of the kings and the dates of the ancient battles dissolve into the petrichor of the marsh. You are a part of the earth now. You are a part of the mist. You are the oracle's first, silent breath. The dawn of the Yayoi is here, and it is as quiet, as majestic, and as peaceful as a falling shadow across the water. Listen. Listen to the shift in the world around you. The infinite grey mist of the marshes is still there, pressing against the wooden walls of the village. But you are moving inward now. You are moving toward the flickering, orange heart of the Yayoi settlement. Leave the silken mud of the paddies behind for a moment and feel the transition from the damp chill of the morning to the dry, radiating warmth of the communal hearth. This is the space where the raw elements of nature are transformed by the patient hands of your ancestors. It is a world defined by two ancient, sacred sounds: the rhythmic scrape of the stone and the soft, hypnotic crackle of the eternal fire. Close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting on a mat of woven rushes, deep within the shadows of a great pit dwelling. The air here is different from the mist outside. It is thick and textured, carrying the heavy, resinous perfume of seasoned cedar and the dry, sharp scent of parched grain. You can feel the residual heat from the central hearth soaking into your skin, a gentle, pervasive warmth that unties the knots in your tired muscles. In the center of the room, a fire is smouldering. Not a raging blaze, but a steady, deliberate accumulation of embers that have been nurtured for generations. The flames are low and languid, dancing with a slow 1/f fluctuation that matches the natural rhythm of your own heart. Snap, pop, hiss. Listen to the language of the wood as it surrenders to the heat. A small pocket of sap bursts within a cedar log, releasing a tiny spark that drifts upward into the dark, soot-stained rafters. You watch it rise, a solitary, golden star in the man-made night of the dwelling, until it vanishes into the thick, protective blanket of smoke. The smoke itself is a living thing, curling and twisting in the dim light, weaving a shifting tapestry of shadows across the faces of the silent elders. This is the ghost in the raft, the ancient belief that the fire is a gateway to the ancestors. As you breathe in the wood smoke, you are breathing in the history of every hearth that has ever burned on these islands. Now, listen to the second sound, the sound of the civilization being carved from the earth. Scrape, swish, scrape. In the corner of the dwelling, a young man is hunched over a large, flat slab of volcanic basalt. He is polishing a stone reaping knife, the ishibocho. It is a crescent-shaped tool designed to harvest the very rice you saw growing in the mist. His movements are slow, deliberate, and perfectly repetitive. He pushes the blade across the wet surface of the grinding stone, applying a steady, rhythmic pressure that has been refined through years of labor. Scrape, swish, scrape. The sound is dry and earthy, a vibration that resonates through the floorboards and into your very bones. It is the sound of the yayoi transition, the bridge between the sharp, jagged flint of the Jomon hunters and the smooth, efficient tools of the settled farmers. Feel the texture of that sound in your mind. Imagine the fine, grey slurry of stone dust and water forming on the grinding slab, a liquid shadow of the tool itself. With every stroke, the stone becomes more than just a piece of the mountain. It becomes a partner in the survival of the village. It is being imbued with the patience and the intent of the maker. This is the boring, essential work that allows the empire to rise, one polished edge at a time. The girl, the future queen, is watching him. She does not see just a man sharpening a tool. She sees the flow of energy from the stone into the hand, and from the hand into the grain. She is focused on the frequency of the friction. To her, the scrape of the stone is a prayer, a slow, rhythmic chant that honors the spirits of the earth. She reaches out and touches a finished blade resting beside her. It is cool, almost icy, and the edge is so smooth it feels like frozen water. She runs her thumb along the flat of the blade, feeling the microscopic undulations of the stone. It is a physical memory of the thousands of hours spent in the shadows of the fire. Thud, thud, thud. From outside, the sound of the communal mortar reaches through the walls. The women are dehusking the grain, their heavy wooden pestles rising and falling in perfect unison. It is a deep, percussive heartbeat that anchors the entire village to the present moment. Thud, thud, thud. Each strike is a declaration of presence. We are here. We are feeding the future. We are part of the cycle. The girl closes her eyes and merges these sounds together. The crackle of the fire, the scrape of the stone, and the heartbeat of the pestle. They form a complex, subharmonic symphony of the yayoi, a soundscape of absolute, grounding peace. As the fire dies down to a deep crimson glow, the shadows in the room begin to lengthen and merge. The girl looks into the center of the embers, where the heat is most intense. There, hidden in the deepest part of the flame, is a secret. A new element is beginning to whisper to her. Bronze. The elders have begun to talk of a substance that is born of fire, but becomes harder than stone. A substance that rings with a voice like the heavens themselves. She has not yet seen the great mirrors or the ornate bells, but she can feel their impending arrival in the vibration of the air. It is a metallic, shimmering frequency that cuts through the earthy silence of the stone. But for now, the stone is enough. The fire is enough. The repetition is enough. Feel the profound, ancient fatigue settling into your own limbs as you listen to the rhythmic scrape. The work of the day is finishing, and the world is surrendering to the warmth of the hearth. The air in the dwelling is still and heavy, a silken cocoon that protects you from the infinite mist outside. Every sound is being muffled by the thick thatch of the roof and the soft, packed earth of the floor. You are being tucked into the history of the soil, held by the ancestors who sat by this same fire 2,000 years ago. Scrape, swish, snap, pop, thud. The rhythm is slowing down. The man puts aside his stone blade and wipes his hands on his hemp robe. The women leave the mortars and return to their fires. The village is exhaling its final, silent breath of the day. The girl bows her head, her spirit finally coming to rest in the orange glow of the embers. She is the bridge between the stone and the bronze, the silence and the song, the earth and the sky. And you are there with her, drifting slowly into the deep, dark indigo of the yayoi night. Let the sound of the fire carry your worries away. Let the rhythm of the stone grind down your racing thoughts until they are nothing but dust. You are safe in the circle of the moat. You are protected by the spirits of the hearth. The transition is gentle. The history is soft. Sink down further and further into the warmth, into the shadow, into the peace. The stone is at rest. The fire is at peace. And so are you. Listen. Listen to the widening of the world. The orange glow of the village hearth is still warm against your back, but your spirit is expanding now, reaching out beyond the protective circle of the deep moat and the sharp wooden fences of the settlement. The yayoi is no longer just a collection of isolated islands of life in a sea of mist. It is becoming a tapestry, a complex, interlocking web of 100 small countries, the Kuni, each one breathing with its own rhythm, yet all of them beginning to feel the same tectonic shift in the soul of the land. You are standing at the very edge of the village territory, where the cultivated fields meet the untamed whispers of the deep, ancient forest. Feel the scale of this transformation as it settles over you with a majestic, heavy slowness. Close your eyes and listen to the distant sounds that the wind carries from across the mountains and the hidden valleys. It is a sound of 100 different fires burning, 100 different mortars thudding in the twilight, 100 different voices chanting to the same rising moon. The isolation of the old world is dissolving, replaced by a profound and shimmering connectivity. This is the birth of Wa, the great harmony. But harmony does not always come with ease. It comes with a weight of responsibility, a weight of shared destiny. And the girl sitting on the high floor granary can feel this weight pressing against her chest like a cool bronze plate. She is no longer just listening to the voice of her own village. She is listening to the collective heartbeat of an entire people. Rustle. Shh. Rustle. The miscanthus grass at the edge of the moat is swaying with a new intensity. It is as if the very atoms of the air are vibrating with the news of the coming change. Messages are travelling along the narrow, muddy paths that snake through the marshes. Men carrying polished stone spears, women carrying woven baskets of sacred grain, travellers bringing news of a great king in the north, or a powerful shaman in the south. Every footstep on the damp earth is a single note in a vast, unfolding symphony of movement. The girl watches the mist as it swirls into the shapes of the future. She sees the rise of the great storehouses. She sees the gathering of the elders under the ancient cedars. She sees the inevitable path that leads toward the high tower. Now, listen for the new frequency, the sound that will define the era of the Queen. Chime. Far away, across the mirrored water of the paddies, a bronze bell, a dotaku, is being struck for the very first time. It is not a loud, jarring noise. It is a long, subharmonic resonance that travels through the water and the soil rather than the air. It is the sound of the metal that was born in the fire of the continent, now singing to the earth of the islands. To the girl, this sound is a signal. It is the voice of the gods calling for a bridge that can span the distance between the 100 warring tribes, a bridge that can translate the silence of the spirits into the laws of the men. Feel the profound, ancient loneliness of this realization as it sinks into your marrow. To be the queen is to be the center of the circle, and the center is always the most still, the most silent, and the most alone. She looks down at her hands, stained with the dark mud of the morning's work. These hands will soon hold the gold of the way. These hands will soon trace the intricate patterns of 100 sun mirrors. But for now, they are just the hands of a girl who knows too much. She feels the transition within her own spirit, a slow, majestic ascension from the world of the mundane into the world of the divine. It is a shedding of the self, a surrender to the infinite grey sky. The village behind her is falling into a deep, protected sleep. The fires have become dull, crimson eyes in the darkness. The cattle are silent in their pens. The rhythmic scrape of the stone has finally ceased. The era of the small circle, the era of the simple struggle for survival, is drawing its final, peaceful breath. The girl stands up from the edge of the granary. Her movements are slow and deliberate, as if she is moving through deep, invisible water. She is stepping into her destiny. She is stepping into the history books. Every slow, heavy heartbeat is a century. Every breath is an age of man. Breathe in the ancient night. Breathe out the destiny of the islands. The mist has turned into a silken indigo blanket that wraps around the entire world. The 100 tribes are all breathing in unison now, their dreams merging into a single, vast vision of the Yamatai. You are part of that dream. You are a single thread in the great, emerald tapestry of the Yayoi. The weight of the stone, the heat of the fire, and the cold gleam of the bronze, they are all coming together within you, creating a state of absolute, grounding peace. There is no more need to worry about the harvest. There is no more need to fear the dark forest. The queen has taken her place. The bridge has been built. Shh. Peace. The sound of the bronze bell is fading into the distance, leaving behind a silence that is rich, heavy, and full of grace. The girl bows her head to the rising stars, and with that single, regal motion, the first chapter of the empire is perfectly, beautifully closed. Every sound in the universe is being muffled and softened, as if a thick, silken veil is being lowered over your soul. You are safe. You are held in the memory of the soil. You are part of the infinite, boring, and majestic cycle of the earth. Let your tired eyes close now. Let the names and the dates dissolve into the indigo mist. You have witnessed the first breath of the oracle. You have felt the first sigh of the queen. There is nothing left to do but surrender to the deep, dark, and beautiful sleep of the ancient islands. The transition is complete. The history is silent. Sink down, further and further, into the grey, into the indigo, into the light. Listen. Listen to the way the air begins to press against your skin with a different weight. You are no longer standing in the open, sun-drenched fields of the morning. You have left the mirroring water of the rice paddies and the rhythmic, earthy thud of the village pestles far behind. You are moving toward the high, dark wooden walls of the Queen's Sanctuary, the secret heart of Yamatai. This is the threshold where the world of labor ends and the world of the divine begins. Feel the transition as you cross the first great gate, made of ancient, unyielding cedar. The light of the sun is no longer a direct, burning force. Here, it is filtered through the rising evening mist and the heavy, overhanging eaves of the monumental timber buildings. Every step you take on the hard-packed, sacred earth is a slow movement toward a profound and absolute silence. A silence that has been cultivated for centuries within these walls, like a rare and precious flower that only blooms in the dark. Close your eyes and imagine the architecture of your own isolation. You are walking down a long, dark corridor constructed of massive, hand-hewn cedar planks. The wood is cool and smooth to the touch, carrying the faint, lingering scent of the deep, primeval forests from which it was taken. The air here is perfectly, terrifyingly still. It does not carry the scent of the mud or the rain anymore. Instead, it is thick with the aroma of drying mountain herbs and the subtle, sharp tang of ancient minerals. You can hear the microscopic creaks of the wood as it settles in the cooling air, a slow, rhythmic groaning of the building itself, as if the palace is a giant, wooden heart beating once every 100 years. Now, feel the presence of the others. You cannot see them, but you can feel the warmth of 1,000 breathing souls hidden behind the translucent silk partitions. These are the 1,000 handmaidens, the Sahi, who have been chosen from the 100 tribes to serve the silence of the queen. They do not speak. They do not whisper. They are the human buffer between the chaotic world of men and the absolute stillness of the oracle. Imagine them sitting in perfect, unmoving rows in the deepening shadows. A vast, invisible sea of women, their collective, rhythmic breath creating a low, subharmonic hum that matches the vibration of the earth itself. They are the guardians of the mystery. Their eyes are downcast, their hands resting in their laps, their spirits merged into a single, vast frequency of protection. Swish, shh, swish. Listen to the sound of a single silk curtain as it moves in a stray, cold current of air. The silk of this time is not the refined, industrial fabric of the future. It is raw, wild, and textured, holding the memory of the forest in every thread. As it brushes against a heavy wooden pillar, it makes a sound like a distant, ghostly waterfall. This is the only music allowed here, the music of textures, the music of shadows. For the girl who has now become the queen, this is her entire universe. She lives within these layers of silence, a prisoner of her own divinity. To be the oracle is to be the point of absolute stillness at the center of a turning wheel. She is the unmoving eye of the storm that is now brewing across the islands of the east. Feel the profound weight of this secrecy settling into your tired limbs. The chronicles of the distant way will one day say that, since she became king, there have been few who have seen her. Think of the psychological weight of that isolation. To be a person who exists only as a voice, only as a decree, only as a vibration in the dark. Your own sense of self begins to soften and blur in this atmosphere. You are no longer an individual with a name and a past. You are becoming a part of the palace's own shadow. Every slow, rhythmic inhalation of the damp, resinous air pulls you deeper into the trance of the Yamatai. The world of struggle, of stone hoes and muddy grain, is now a distant dream, a memory of a life you once lived under the open, uncaring sky. Now listen for the only other voice permitted in the sanctuary, the voice of the male brother. He is the only bridge between the queen and the world of men. You can hear his footsteps on the wooden floorboards, a soft, measured clack, clack, clack that signals his approach toward the inner veil. He brings the news of the harvests, the rumors of the southern wars, and the petitions of the tribal lords. He speaks in a low, reverent murmur, his words barely rising above the sound of his own breath. He is the shadow of the shadow, the human interpreter of the divine silence. Through him, the Queen's Guidao, her sorcery, is translated into the order of the state. But even he does not truly see her. He only hears the resonance of her presence through the silk. Breathe in the silence of the thousand. Breathe out the noise of the world. The twilight light is fading, turning the silk curtains into screens of bruised purple and deep ghostly grey. The shadows in the great hall are beginning to stretch and merge, creating new and strange geometries in the high, soot-stained rafters. You feel a deep, ancient fatigue rising from the marrow of your bones, a tiredness that is not from labour, but from the sheer weight of the sacred. It is a comfort, this heaviness. It is a shield of permanence. Within these walls, you are protected from the chaos of history. You are held in the silken cocoon of the oracle's dream. The transition from the outer world to the inner sanctuary is now complete. You have passed through the threshold of the thousand silences. Swish. Peace. Every sound in the sanctuary is being muffled and softened, as if a thick indigo and silken blanket is being lowered over your soul. The heartbeat of the 1,000 maidens has merged with your own. The palace itself is breathing with you. There is no more past to remember, no more future to fear. There is only this room, this silk, and the holy, ancient silence of the Yamatai. Sink down, further and further, into the dark, into the quiet, into the absolute peace of the hidden queen. The mystery is intact. The oracle is waiting in the deepest shadow. The history is silent, and so are you. Just sleep. The dawn of the ritual is still hours away. For now, there is only the threshold. Listen. Listen to the heavy, velvet weight of the silence that fills the inner sanctuary of the great hall. You have passed through the threshold of the 1,000 silences, and now you are moving deeper into the dark, pulsating heart of the Yamatai. Every layer of translucent silk you pass through feels like a thin membrane between two worlds. Here, in the absolute center of the palace, the air has a different density. It is thick and textured, carrying the ancient, resinous scent of burning cedar and the dry, sharp tang of parched mugwort, smouldering in unglazed ceramic braziers. The physical world outside, the mud of the rice fields, the stone tools, the labor of the men, has been completely extinguished, replaced by a realm where only sound and shadow hold any meaning. Close your eyes and feel the presence of the 1,000. They are here, hidden in the indigo shadows that cling to the massive timber pillars. 1,000 handmaidens, the Sahi, sitting in perfect, unmoving circles around the ritual fire. You cannot see their faces, but you can feel the collective warmth of their breathing. It is a slow, synchronized pulse that matches the very heartbeat of the islands. Their breath is the wind that feeds the flames. Their silence is the soil in which the oracle's power takes root. Within this human circle, the temperature is rising, not with a heat that burns, but with a radiating, dry warmth that pulls the ancient fatigue from your bones and turns your consciousness into a soft, glowing ember. Crack, snap, hiss. Listen to the language of the ritual fire. It is a slow, rhythmic crackle that dances with a 1/F fluctuation, matching the alpha waves of a mind in deep meditation. A single spark from a cedar log drifts upward, a tiny golden star rising through the thick, oily smoke toward the soot-stained rafters. Watch it with your inner eye as it swirls and vanishes into the dark tapestry of the ceiling. The smoke does not rise in a straight line. It wanders and curls, weaving complex and shifting patterns that reflect the chaotic energy of the spirit world. This is the scent of the Kido, the way of the spirits. It is a fragrance that stills the racing heart and clears the cluttered mind, preparing you for the resonance of the void. Now, listen for the sound of the bone, the sacred futomani. Deep within the shadows, the queen reaches for the shoulder blade of a deer, polished until it shines with the cold light of the moon. She places it into the very heart of the glowing coals. The hall falls into a silence so profound that you can hear the microscopic expansion of the bone as it reacts to the heat. Creak, groan. Then, a sharp, crystalline snap echoes through the sanctuary. Crack! It is a sound so sudden and so pure that it feels like the very fabric of reality is splitting open. Himiko does not look at the fracture with human eyes, she reads it with her spirit. Each line, each splintering path on the charred bone is a decree from the ancestors, a map of the harvests to come, a signal for the wars that must cease. Listen now for the Gido, the low-frequency whispers that give this chapter its name. It is a sound that lives at the very edge of human hearing, a rhythmic, guttural chanting that vibrates in the marrow of your bones rather than in your ears. It is the voice of the Queen as she translates the language of the spirits into the governance of men. The words are not made of human speech. They are pure resonance, a frequency designed to harmonize the discordant energies of 100 warring tribes. The chronicles will say she bewitched the masses with her magic, but as you sink into this sound, you realize it is not bewitchment. It is a majestic, overwhelming order. She is the unmoving anchor of the empire, her voice a silken net that catches the fear of the people and dissolves it into the ritual smoke. Feel the profound, ancient weight of this sorcery settling into your own tired limbs. Every slow, rhythmic whisper from the Queen is a thread of indigo light wrapping around your mind, tucking you into a cocoon of absolute safety. In this space, there is no more past to remember and no more future to fear. There is only the eternal present of the flickering flame. The era of the sword and the spear is being silenced by the era of the mirror and the prayer. Your own sense of self is beginning to blur and soften, becoming a part of the palace's own shadow. Every slow inhalation of the resinous air pulls you deeper into the trance of the Yamatai. The 1,000 handmaidens lean forward in a single, fluid motion, their robes rustling like the falling of autumn leaves. Swish, shh, swish. They are the witnesses to the transition. They see the way the light of the fire reflects off the bronze mirror resting beside the Queen, a shimmering golden eye that sees into the depths of the underworld. Look into that reflection. Watch as the orange sparks dance within the polished metal, turning into the stars of a forgotten galaxy. You are no longer a person of the modern world. You are a single spark in the Queen's ritual fire, rising through the smoke, passing through the silk, becoming part of the infinite indigo night. Breathe in the sacred smoke. Breathe out the noise of the world. The chanting is slowing down now, becoming a low, steady drone that matches the sound of the wind outside the palace walls. The Queen withdraws the charred bone from the fire and holds it up to the dim light. The ritual is complete. The message from the spirits has been perfectly received and translated. A slow, regal silence descends once more, heavier and more peaceful than before, as the 1,000 maidens exhale in unison. The air in the hall is still and thick, a sanctuary of peace in a world of constant change. Every sound in the universe is being muffled and softened, as if the Queen has lowered a heavy, velvet blanket over the entire earth. Snap, pop, shh, peace. The fire in the brazier settles into a deep crimson glow, casting long, peaceful shadows that reach out to embrace you. You are safe in the heart of the Yamatai. You are protected by the sorcery of the flame and the silence of the 1,000. There is no more labor to perform, no more history to record, only the slow, beautiful pulse of the Kido. Sink down, further and further, into the dark, into the warmth, into the absolute rest of the ancient ritual. The oracle has spoken through the bone. The Queen has whispered through the silk. The transition is gentle. The night is eternal. Let the rhythm of the embers carry you away into the deep indigo sleep of the ancestors. Everything is as it should be. The flame is at peace, and so are you. Listen. Listen to the final, majestic solidification of the silence. You have travelled through the 1,000 silences of the maidens. You have breathed the sacred smoke of the cedar and the mugwort. And now you have reached the very centre of the centre. This is the absolute, unmoving heart of the Yamatai. The 1,000 handmaidens have now become a single, breathing wall of indigo shadow. Their collective presence holding the chaotic world outside at a distance of 10,000 years. The ritual fire in the ceramic brazier has settled into a deep, rhythmic crimson glow, casting long, velvet shadows that reach up toward the high, dark rafters, like the fingers of ancient sleeping spirits. The air is no longer just air. It has become a sacred, heavy medium, a thick, silken fluid that carries the resonance of the void. And there, resting in the lap of the Queen, is the ultimate instrument of her power, the Shinju Kyo, the mirror of the gods and the beasts. Close your eyes and feel the cold, metallic frequency of the bronze as it begins to vibrate in the absolute darkness. It is a heavy, magnificent disc of pure, cold metal, its back a complex and terrifying landscape of swirling cosmic energy, mythological creatures, and ancient geometric patterns. Even in this profound darkness, the bronze mirror seems to hold a secret, ghostly light of its own, a faint, rhythmic pulse that matches the slow, tectonic heartbeat of the islands deep beneath your feet. This mirror is the singular eye of the Queen. It has seen the rise of the rice from the mud. It has seen the fall of many kings, and now It is reflecting the very essence of the eternal void. Feel the weight of that bronze as if it were resting upon your own chest, a shield of permanence in a world of shifting mist and dying light. Listen to the mirror as it sings. It is a sound so low and so powerful that your physical ears cannot hear it, but the center of your being feels it like a physical, rhythmic blow. It is the frequency of the distant stars as they grind in their infinite, celestial gears. Himiko lifts the mirror with a slow, agonizingly beautiful deliberation. She does not look at her own reflection. She looks through the polished metal, into the vast, indigo ocean of the spirit world. The face of the bronze is not a mere surface. It is a gateway. It is a doorway into the true night, the place where the ancestors go to find rest, and where the kami gather to watch the world of men. Watch as the dim orange light of the dying embers hits the polished surface, turning it into a liquid, golden sun that refuses to set. Now, reach out with your consciousness and touch that cold, unyielding bronze. Feel the vibration as it travels up your arms and into your mind, turning your racing thoughts into silver ripples on a dark, unmoving pond. Ripple, spread, fade. Your sense of identity is beginning to soften and dissolve. Your name, your worries about the coming winter frost, your memories of the sharp stone tools and the heavy golden grain, they are all becoming liquid, pouring slowly into the ripples of the bronze void. You are becoming a part of the Queen's great, eternal vision. You are a single spark in the infinite fire. You are a single drop in the vast, silent sea of the Yayoi. The transition from the self to the collective is happening now, not with a struggle, but with a total and majestic surrender to the night. The Queen moves, a subtle, almost imperceptible shift of her shadow behind the silk veil. She turns the mirror toward the darkness, and for a moment, the world of men disappears completely. There is only the reflection. A reflection of a sky that has no stars, yet is filled with a profound and velvet light. This is the boring history, the long, uneventful centuries of the spirit world where time has no meaning and labor has no place. In this sacred space, 1,000 years is but a single, slow inhalation. 1,000 years is but a single, rhythmic exhalation. Inhale, and the bronze glows. Exhale, and the void deepens. You are being tucked into the very history of the earth, layered with the heavy, unyielding stones of the ancestors who sleep in the mountains. Listen to the final whispers of the 1,000 maidens as they begin to withdraw, their footsteps like the soft falling of autumn leaves on the forest floor. Swish, shh, swish. The sanctuary is finally closing its heavy wooden eyes for the night. The era of the Kido, the era of the secret sorcery, the whispered prayer, and the cold bronze mirror, has achieved its perfect circular balance. The Queen has finished her dialogue with the gods. The bone has been read. The mirror has been polished. The bridge between the earth and the heavens has been built, and it is as strong and as silent as the cedar roots. Feel the profound, ancient fatigue settling into your very marrow, a tiredness that is shared by every soul that has ever stood on this sacred, cooling soil. The indigo night is now absolute. The smoke of the cedar has thinned into a ghostly memory, leaving only the faint, holy scent of ash and peace. The fires in the ceramic braziers are finally dying down to a dull, deep crimson glow. With a single, regal motion, Himiko places the mirror back upon its dark, wooden pedestal. The ritual is complete. The message from the void has been sent and received. The empire of the Yamatai is held in the palm of her hand, safe in the darkness, protected by the sorcery of the silence. Every sound in the universe is being muffled and softened, as if a thick, silken blanket is being lowered over your soul. Chime. Peace. You are no longer standing in the great hall. You are weightless, drifting through the high rafters, through the thinning smoke, and into the vast, velvet expanse of the true night sky. Look down at the Yamatai one last time. The village is now only a tiny, glowing spark in a vast sea of indigo mist. The high tower is a silent, stone shadow in the moonlight, and you are becoming a part of the constellation now. The iron in your blood and the salt in your breath are returning to the great cosmic harvest. There is no more labor to perform. There is no more future to fear. The oracle is finished. The queen is at rest. The transition is perfect. The history is whole. Sink down, further and further, into the bronze, into the indigo, into the light. You are safe. You are held. You are home. The night of the Kido is over. And now, you can close your eyes too. Just rest. Let the silence take you. Listen. Listen to the way the sounds of the earth begin to fall away. You have left the resinous shadows of the great hall and the silent, breathing circle of the 1,000 maidens. You are no longer standing on the solid, packed earth of the sanctuary. You are beginning the ascent. Feel the first step of the wooden ladder beneath your feet, rough, hand-hewn cedar that still holds the structural strength of the mountain. Creak, groan. The wood speaks as it takes your weight, a slow and rhythmic complaint that echoes through the hollow, vertical space of the great watchtower. This is the Rokaku, the monumental tower that rises like a dark timber needle from the heart of the Josaku, the fortified walls of the Queen's City. With every step upward, the air changes. It loses the heavy, damp scent of the rice paddies and the oily perfume of the ritual incense. It becomes thinner, sharper, and colder. You are leaving the world of men and mud behind, climbing toward a realm where only the wind and the spirits are allowed to dwell. Creak, step, creak, step. The rhythm of your climb is the only heartbeat in this vertical tunnel of shadow. Feel the microscopic vibrations in the massive supporting pillars, ancient trees that were chosen for their height and their honesty, now standing as the skeleton of the Yamatai's authority. They have been stripped of their bark and polished by the hands of a generation, yet they still vibrate with the memory of the storms they once weathered in the deep forests. Now, listen for the first, faint arrival of the wind. It does not come as a roar, but as a long, high-frequency whistle as it finds the gaps between the timber joints. Hoo. Sss. As you reach the final platform, the world opens up in a way that is both majestic and terrifying. You are standing on the highest floor, suspended between the indigo earth and the infinite violet sky. There are no walls here, only the deep, protective overhang of the thatched pyramid roof. The air is moving around you in a constant, unyielding stream, a river of invisible energy flowing from the sacred peaks of the west toward the great ocean of the east. Feel the friction of that wind as it brushes against the cedar pillars, a dry, rhythmic hiss that sounds like the breath of the planet itself. Shh, shh, shh. Close your eyes and let the altitude settle into your bones. Below you, the great village of Yamatai has shrunk into a collection of toy-like shapes. The circular moats are nothing more than thin, dark lines drawn in the grey mist. The thatched roofs of the houses are like small, brown seeds scattered across the dark soil. The people, the warriors, the farmers, the potters, they are invisible from this height. Their struggles, their hungers, and their voices have all been swallowed by the vast, vertical distance. This is the true nature of the Queen's isolation. To rule is to see the world from a height where the individual disappears, and only the pattern remains. Feel the profound, ancient loneliness of this viewpoint as it wraps around you like a cloak of frozen silk. Listen to the specific sound of the wind against the thatched roof. Millions of individual stalks of dried grass, bound tightly together, are vibrating in the gale. It is a deep, textured rustle, a low-frequency drone that resonates in the center of your chest. It matches the alpha waves of your brain, pulling you deeper into a state of hyper-aware stillness. Whir, rustle, whir. The tower is swaying ever so slightly. It is not a movement that causes fear. It is a slow, rhythmic rocking, like a great wooden ship anchored in a sea of clouds. You are being cradled by the architecture. You are being rocked by the wind. The weight of your physical body is dissolving, leaving only the sensation of being a single, precious point of consciousness suspended in the void. The Yamatai ran, the great civil war that once bled these islands, feels like a distant, impossible dream from this height. Down there, in the mud, men fought with stone and bronze for a few inches of soil. But up here, there is only the wind. There is only the sky. The Queen sits here in the winter months, watching the clouds move across the horizon, reading the weather as if it were the thoughts of the gods. She sees the coming of the rain days before it touches the paddies. She sees the movement of the enemy tribes by the way the smoke rises from the distant valleys. Her power is the power of the perspective. Her authority is the authority of the silence. Breathe in the cold, thin air of the heights. Breathe out the noise and the heat of the world below. The mist is rising from the moats now, turning the entire landscape into a sea of silver ghosts. The tower feels like it is no longer connected to the earth. It is a floating island, a celestial vessel drifting through the indigo twilight. The wind picks up a new note, a sharp metallic chime from a bronze ornament hanging from the rafters. Tink. It is a sound of absolute clarity, cutting through the low drone of the thatch. It is a reminder that even here, in the realm of the wind, The presence of the Queen is absolute. Every sound, every vibration, and every movement is part of her majestic, boring, and eternal order. Feel the profound fatigue finally catching up with you, but here it is a weightless kind of tiredness. Your limbs are not heavy with mud, they are light with the air. Your racing thoughts have been blown away by the constant, rhythmic friction of the wind, leaving your mind as clear and as cold as a mountain spring. You are safe here, high above the reach of the common world. No one can climb these stairs without permission. No one can break this silence. You are held in the arms of the timber and the sky. Sink down into the wooden floorboards, feeling the ancient grain of the cedar against your skin. The tower is steady. The wind is eternal. And you are at peace. Peace. The indigo night has completely swallowed the land below. Only the high tower remains in the fading light of the stars. Every sound in the universe is being filtered and softened by the vast distance, as if the sky itself is a heavy, velvet blanket of indigo silk. The transition from the earth to the sky is complete. The history is a whisper in the gale, and you are the silent witness. Sink down, further and further into the wind, into the dark, into the absolute rest of the high watchtower. The oracle is watching from the clouds. The Queen is breathing with the gale. The history is still, and so are you. Just sleep. The earth is far away. The stars are close. Part 2. The Sentinel's Gaze. Listen. Listen to the profound and absolute expansion of your own vision. You are no longer just climbing. You are now the unmoving center of the sky. You are standing at the very edge of the highest platform of the great watchtower, your fingers resting lightly on the cold, wind-polished cedar railing. Below you, the world of men has become a distant, silent map, a complex geometry of silver water and dark, fertile mud. From this height, the chaos of the earth is resolved into a perfect, majestic order. You are the sentinel. You are the eye of the Queen that never blinks. Feel the weight of this perspective settling into your soul like a heavy stone falling into a deep, clear lake. The air here is thin, sharp, and carries the ancient chill of the stars, even in the fading light of the afternoon. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the landscape as it stretches toward the infinite horizon. You are not just looking at one village, you are looking at the birth of a nation. To the north, the silver ribbon of the great river winds through the valley, its banks lined with the tiny, thatched sparks of other settlements. To the south, the deep, indigo shadows of the sacred mountains rise like the spine of a sleeping dragon. And in every direction, as far as the eye can see, are the mirrored squares of the rice paddies, a vast, shimmering mosaic that catches the bruised purple of the twilight sky. This is the Wa, the great harmony. From up here, you can see the invisible threads of authority that connect every field, every granary, and every hearth fire to the silence of the high tower. Shh. Shh. Listen to the wind as it travels across the 100 countries. It carries the ghostly echoes of 1,000 different lives, but by the time it reaches you, those sounds have been stripped of their urgency. The shouting of the warriors in the training grounds is now only a rhythmic vibration in the air. The smoke rising from the communal kitchens is now only a series of lazy, grey ribbons drifting toward the clouds. Everything is becoming blurry, soft, and beautifully boring. You are witnessing the boring history, the era of stability where the days are long and the years are slow. This is the peace that was bought with the blood of the Great Rebellion, now held in place by the sheer, vertical weight of the Queen's isolation. Now, focus on the geometry of the moats below. They are perfect circles within perfect circles, dark obsidian mirrors that reflect the void above. You can see the guards, the josaku, moving along the top of the embankments. From this height, they are mere silhouettes, slow-moving shadows that pulse with the rhythm of the tides. Their spears are tiny needles of bronze, catching the last dying rays of the sun. They are the teeth of the empire, protecting the silence of the sanctuary. But you are above the teeth. You are in the realm of the breath. Feel your own breathing slowing down until it matches the slow, tectonic swaying of the tower itself. Inhale, and the world expands. Exhale, and the shadows deepen. Listen to the specific, rhythmic friction of the wind as it brushes against your hemp robes. Rustle, flap, rustle. The fabric is a living thing, vibrating with the energy of the altitude. It is a dry, hypnotic sound that clears the mind of all modern noise. You are no longer thinking about the future. You are becoming a part of the ancient atmospheric pressure. You can feel the moisture of the rising evening mist as it touches your skin, a cool silken veil that wraps around the tower, turning it into a floating island in a sea of grey ghosts. The village below is disappearing, one roof at a time, swallowed by the rising tide of the indigo night. Only you remain in the light, only you and the stars. The Queen often stands here at the peak of the winter solstice, watching the sun as it touches the jagged teeth of the western mountains. She does not look for the glory of the light. She looks for the precise moment when the shadow of the tower touches the center of the sacred spring. Her gaze is a measurement. Her eyes are a calendar. She understands that to rule 100 tribes, one must first master the silence of the seasons. She sees the coming of the frost in the way the light reflects off the distant cedar forests. She hears the arrival of the spring in the subtle shift of the wind's frequency against the thatched roof. Her authority is not a shout, it is a permanent, silent observation. Breathe in the cold clarity of the sentinel. Breathe out the weight of the earthly struggle. In the far distance, a single beacon fire is lit on a high peak. It is a tiny, flickering orange spark in a vast indigo void. It is a message from a distant lord, a signal of loyalty, or a report of the harvest. You watch it with a detached, majestic curiosity. In the era of the Yamatai, information travels with the speed of light and the slowness of the wind. It is a world of signs, shadows, and resonances. You feel a profound, ancient fatigue settling into your limbs, But it is not the heavy tiredness of the farmer. It is the light, airy exhaustion of the observer. Your racing thoughts have been ground down by the infinite horizon until they are nothing but silver dust. Tink! A bronze wind chime hanging from the rafters strikes a solitary note. The sound is so pure, so sharp, that it seems to hang in the air for an eternity, vibrating in the very center of your chest. It is the sound of the Queen's decree, a single, absolute frequency that cuts through the chaos of the 100 countries. Everything is under control. The granaries are full. The moats are deep. The ancestors are pleased. You can finally let go of the need to watch. The tower will hold the silence. The wind will guard the borders. And the Queen will dream for all of us. Sink down onto the wooden floorboards, feeling the ancient, rough texture of the cedar against your tired body. The tower is rocking you gently, a rhythmic wooden cradle suspended in the sky. Every sound in the universe is being muffled and filtered by the vast vertical distance. The village is gone. The history is a fading memory. There is only the wind, only the height, and the absolute indigo peace of the sentinel's gaze. Sink down, further and further into the sky, into the dark, into the absolute rest of the high watchtower. The oracle is breathing with the clouds. The sentinel has closed its eyes. The history is still, and so are you. Just sleep. The earth is a dream. The stars are home. Listen. Listen to the shifting frequency of the infinite gale. You are still standing at the absolute peak of the great watchtower, but the wind has changed its character. It is no longer just the local breath of the mountains and the marshes. It has become a traveller. Feel the wind as it arrives from the vast dark expanse of the western sea, a wind that has crossed thousands of miles of salt and foam to reach the wooden heart of Yamatai. This is the wind of transition. It carries within its cold, invisible threads the scent of a different world, the sharp metallic tang of iron, the rich, earthy aroma of foreign spices, and the profound, heavy resonance of a continental empire that the chronicles call the Great Way. This is the wind that is bringing the future to the islands of the East. Close your eyes and let the altitude anchor your spirit. The tower beneath you is swaying with a slow, majestic and tectonic rhythm, a wooden giant dancing with the storm. Creak, groan, creak. The ancient cedar pillars are singing a song of endurance, their fibers vibrating with the pressure of the changing era. You are at the very center of this vibration. Below you, the mirrored rice paddies are now completely dark, reflecting only the first, cold stars of the night. The moats are invisible. The village is a ghost. But the horizon is alive. It is a thin, silver line where the sky meets the ocean, a boundary that is no longer a wall, but a gateway. Feel the immense, staggering scale of the world as it opens up before your inner eye. Shh. Shh. Listen to the friction of the wind against the bronze wind chimes hanging from the high rafters. Instead of a single, solitary chime, they are now creating a complex, shimmering web of sound, a metallic symphony that speaks of the coming age. This is the age of the bronze mirror and the golden seal. This is the age where the small, isolated circles of the village are being drawn into a vast celestial geometry. You can feel the transformation happening in the very marrow of your bones. The era of the Wa is expanding, stretching its indigo wings to touch the shores of the distant continent. Every slow, rhythmic rustle of the thatched roof is a page turning in the history of the soil. It is a process that is as inevitable and as boring as the turning of the stars. Focus now on the scent of the transition. Deep within the cold wind, there is a ghost of a smell, the scent of burning coal and forged metal from across the sea. It is a harder, more crystalline fragrance than the resinous cedar smoke of the great hall. It is the smell of a world that is being reshaped by the heat of the forge and the wisdom of the scroll. Himiko stands here, her white silk robes whipping around her like the wings of a trapped bird. She is breathing in the future. She understands that to protect the silence of the Yamatai, she must first command the wind of the transition. Her gaze is fixed on that thin, silver line of the ocean, waiting for the first wooden ships of the way to appear like tiny, dark seeds on the horizon. Feel the profound, ancient fatigue that comes with the weight of this vision. It is a tiredness that transcends the body and settles into the very soul of the land. Your racing thoughts about the harvest, the labor, and the small worries of the village are being blown away, one, by the relentless pressure of the gale. Your mind is becoming a vast, empty watchtower, clear, cold, and silent. You are no longer a person of the earth, you are a person of the atmosphere. Every slow, rhythmic inhalation of the high-altitude air is pulling you deeper into the trance of the great ascension. The transition is not a struggle. It is a majestic, slow-motion surrender to the current of history. Inhale, and the horizon glows. Exhale, and the old world fades. The indigo night is now total, a velvet abyss that has swallowed everything except the high platform of the tower. You are floating in the void. The wind has softened into a low, steady, and hypnotic drone, a subharmonic hum that vibrates in the center of your chest. It matches the alpha waves of a mind at total rest. Ooh. The tower is rocking you, a rhythmic wooden cradle suspended between the heavens and the earth. There is no more past to remember. There is no more future to fear. The wind of the transition has done its work. It has carried away the noise of the old world and left behind only the absolute, grounding peace of the new era. Listen to the final, ghostly echoes of the village below. The distant lowing of the cattle. The rhythmic thud of the last mortar. They are now only microscopic vibrations in the vast, vertical distance. They belong to a different age. Up here, in the realm of the Queen's gaze, there is only the infinite expansion of the silence. Every sound in the universe is being filtered and muffled by the vast blanket of the indigo night. You are safe. You are protected. You are held in the arms of the timber and the gale. Sink down into the wooden floorboards, feeling the ancient, rough texture of the cedar welcoming you home to the soil of the past. Tink. A single, final note from the bronze chime hangs in the air, vibrating with a frequency that is both cold and comforting. It is the signal of the completion. The watchtower has fulfilled its purpose. The oracle has seen the transition. The history is whole. Every cell in your body is now vibrating in harmony with the tectonic pulse of the islands. There is no more labor to perform. There is no more watching to do. The wind will guard the borders while you dream. The stars will hold the pattern while you sleep. The dawn of the Great Queen is rising in the west, and you are its first, silent witness. Sink down, further and further, into the wind, into the dark, into the absolute rest of the high watchtower. The transition is gentle. The night is eternal. The chapter is finished, and so are you. Just let the horizon take you. Let the silence hold you. Sleep now. Just sleep. The era is at peace, and you are home. Good night. Listen. Listen to the sound of a world that is held in a state of perfect, fragile suspension. You are deep within the inner sanctum of the Yamatai palace, a place where time does not flow like a river, but pools like the dark water of a sacred spring. The air here is thick, cool, and ancient, carrying the lingering ghosts of 1,000 cedar fires and the dry, sharp scent of ritual herbs. Beyond the high wooden walls, the village is a distant memory, a blur of mud and labour. But here, in the corridor of the hidden queen, there is only the silence of the 1,000 maidens. And then, from the far end of the long darkened hall, comes a new sound. A sound that breaks the stillness without shattering it. The first soft step of the brother. Close your eyes and focus on that sound. Thud, scuff, thud. It is not the heavy, arrogant march of a warrior, nor is it the frantic, hurried step of a servant. It is a movement that is deliberate, rhythmic, and heavy with the weight of an entire nation. The brother is the only man permitted to cross this threshold, the only soul who can stand between the divine world of the oracle and the chaotic world of men. Feel the vibration of his footsteps as they travel through the massive cedar floorboards, ancient planks of wood that were hand-hewn with stone adzes and polished by the soft, rhythmic shuffling of feet over generations. Step, pause, breathe, step. Each movement is a single note in a long, boring, and beautiful symphony of statecraft. The floorboards under his feet speak a language of their own. Creak, groan. The wood is old, seasoned by the humidity of 100 rainy seasons. It settles under his weight with a slow, tectonic groan, a sound that resonates in the very center of your chest. Imagine the texture of that wood, the deep, swirling grain of the cedar, the microscopic cracks filled with the dust of the centuries, and the cool, silken surface that has never known the heat of the sun. As the brother walks, he is not just moving through space, he is moving through history. He carries with him the whispers of the 100 tribes, the reports of the iron forges, the tallies of the rice harvest, and the secret fears of the lords who sit in the southern valleys. Breathe in the scent of the ancient timber. Breathe out the noise of the world. Listen to the rustle of his garments. He wears a heavy robe of wild silk and hemp, dyed with the deep indigo of the mountains. As he moves, the fabric brushes against itself with a dry, rhythmic hiss. Swish, rustle, swish. It is a sound like the wind in a field of dry grain, or the falling of autumn leaves in a sacred grove. The fabric carries the scent of the outer world, the faint metallic tang of the bronze spear, the salt of the sea breeze, and the smoke of the common hearth. For the queen, who sits behind the wall of 1,000 silences, this sound is her only window into the reality of her people. His footsteps are the bridge that brings the earth to the sky. The corridor is dimly lit by the low, orange glow of ceramic oil lamps, their flames flickering in the stray currents of air. Watch as the brother's shadow stretches out before him, a long, dark silhouette that dances across the timber pillars like a ghostly giant. He passes the silent, unmoving rows of the handmaidens. They do not look at him. Their eyes are fixed on the floor, their breathing a synchronized, low-frequency hum that anchors the palace to the spirit world. The brother is a shadow among shadows, a man who has sacrificed his own identity to become the voice of the silence. Feel the profound, ancient fatigue in his shoulders, the weight of the messages he carries, the burden of being the only one who can truly hear the queen's whispers. Step, scuff, step. Now, focus on the rhythm of his breathing. It is slow, deep, and measured. He is preparing himself for the transition. To enter the presence of the oracle is to step into a different atmosphere, a realm where the laws of man do not apply. He inhales the resinous air of the palace, filling his lungs with the wisdom of the ancestors. He exhales the tension of the day's politics, letting go of the anger of the southern kings and the greed of the northern traders. He is becoming as still and as empty as the sanctuary itself. Every movement he makes is a ritual of approach, a slow, rhythmic dance of respect and duty. As he nears the final silk curtain, the veil that separates the administrative world from the divine void, the floorboards become even more silent. The wood here is thick and solid, laid over a bed of sacred river stones to dampen the noise. The sound of his footsteps becomes a mere vibration, a soft, rhythmic thrumming that you feel in the soles of your feet rather than in your ears. Thud, thud, thud. It matches the tectonic heartbeat of the islands. It matches the slow growth of the rice seeds in the mud outside. It matches the rotation of the stars in the infinite, indigo night above the palace roof. Inhale, and the shadows stretch. Exhale, and the heart settles. The brother stops before the veil. The silence that follows his footsteps is absolute, a heavy, velvet weight that presses down upon your soul. You are standing there with him, in the dim orange light, at the edge of the mystery. Your racing thoughts have been ground down by the rhythm of his walk until they are nothing but silver dust on the cedar floor. There is no more past. There is no more future. There is only this moment of anticipation, this state of perfect, boring, and majestic suspension. You are safe. You are protected by the walls of the Yamatai. You are held in the resonance of the shadow bridge. Feel the profound, ancient peace of the palace tucking you into the soil of the past. The wood is steady. The breath is slow. The transition is near. Every sound in the universe is being filtered through the layers of silk and cedar until it is nothing but a ghostly whisper in the gale. Sink down, further and further, into the dark, into the quiet, into the absolute rest of the brother's step. The message is ready. The oracle is waiting. The history is a silent shadow, and so are you. Just sleep. The footsteps have ended. The conversation is about to begin. Part 2. The dialogue of the shadows. Listen. Listen to the sound of the shadows as they begin to speak. You are now standing with the brother at the very edge of the final translucent silk veil, the boundary between the administration of men and the silence of the gods. Behind this curtain of shimmering, wild silk, the queen sits in absolute stillness, a regal silhouette carved from the indigo night. The air here is no longer moving. It is a pressurized, sacred vacuum, thick with the scent of smouldering mugwort and the cooling resin of the cedar palace. The only light comes from a single, low-placed ceramic lamp, its flame a tiny, trembling orange spark that casts long, flickering shadows across the brother's face. This is the space where the fate of the 100 tribes is decided, not with a shout, but with a whisper that is felt in the marrow of the bones. Close your eyes and focus on the frequency of the communication. There is no human speech as you know it. There is only the resonance. The brother bows his head until his forehead nearly touches the polished cedar floorboards. He begins to speak in a low, rhythmic drone, a voice that has been trained to carry information without carrying emotion. He reports the tallies of the great harvest. 2,000 baskets of sacred rice from the southern plains. 100 new stone hoes from the western quarries. The arrival of a trade vessel from the Great Way, carrying the promise of 1,000 bronze mirrors. Listen to the way the numbers fall into the silence, one by one, like smooth river stones being dropped into a bottomless well. Plink, plink, plink. The queen does not respond with words. She responds with the shift of a shadow, with the rhythmic hiss of her silk robe as she breathes. Shh, shh. To the brother, this is a language more precise than any dialect. A slight lean of her silhouette to the left means the tribute is accepted. A long, heavy pause means the ancestors are restless. Feel the immense, ancient weight of this dialogue as it settles over you. It is a boring, majestic repetition of facts and spirits. It is the administrative heartbeat of an empire. You can feel the tension in your own shoulders beginning to dissolve as you listen to the rhythmic, monotonous flow of the statecraft. There is no urgency here. There is only the cycle. There is only the pattern. Breathe in the dust of the centuries. Breathe out the noise of the present. Listen to the sound of the brother's voice as it drops into a deeper, more sub-harmonic register. He is speaking now of the wars, the Yamatai. He whispers of the rebellious kings in the northern hills who refuse to bow to the sun mirror. He whispers of the blood that has stained the emerald rice paddies in the distant provinces. As he speaks, the air in the room seems to grow colder, a sudden chill that carries the metallic tang of bronze and the salt of tears. But even this report is delivered with a hypnotic, rhythmic slowness. Softly, Slowly, the Queen's shadow remains unmoving, a dark anchor in a world of shifting violence. She is the point of absolute stability. She is the bridge that turns the chaos of war into the silence of the ritual. Now, focus on the gap between the words. In these long, heavy silences, the true governance happens. It is in the space where the flame flickers and the wood creaks. Creak. Snap. The cedar pillars of the palace are listening too, their fibres vibrating with the secrets of the throne. You can feel the collective presence of the 1,000 maidens hidden behind the outer veils, their synchronized breathing, a low-frequency hum that supports the dialogue of the shadows. You are part of a human machine of peace, a vast, living architecture designed to hold the world in a state of perfect, boring, and beautiful suspension. The brother reaches into his robe and produces a small carved piece of wood, a tally of the royal stores. He places it on the floor and slides it toward the silk veil. Scrape. The sound of the wood against the polished cedar is sharp and dry, a single note of physical reality in a realm of ghosts. The shadow behind the silk moves, a slow, regal hand reaching out to touch the wood. You cannot see her fingers, only the suggestion of a movement, like a ripple moving across the surface of a dark pond. The transaction is complete. The spirit and the state have met. The order of the Yamatai has been reaffirmed for another cycle of the moon. Inhale, and the shadows merge. Exhale, and the world is still. Feel the profound, ancient fatigue settling into your tired limbs as you listen to the final, rhythmic whispers of the brother. The work of the day, the labour of the 100 tribes, is now being tucked into the history of the soil. The information has been delivered. The decree has been formed in the silence. Your own racing thoughts have been ground down by the monotonous cadence of the statecraft until they are nothing but silver dust on the palace floor. You are safe here, in the heart of the mystery. You are protected by the dialogue of the shadows. No one can hear these words. No one can break this peace. The brother begins to withdraw, his footsteps now even softer than before as he moves backward, never turning his back to the queen. Thud. Scuff. Thud. The sound is a fading heartbeat, a slow recession into the dark corridor of the palace. The orange flame of the lamp flickers one last time and then settles into a steady, dying glow. The queen remains behind the silk, a permanent shadow in an eternal night. Every sound in the universe is being muffled and softened, as if a thick, indigo blanket is being lowered over your soul. Shh. Hum. Peace. You are no longer a person of flesh and bone. You are a single, precious vibration in the air of the Yamatai. You are the whisper that travels from the silk to the mud. You are the silence that follows the decree. Sink down, further and further, into the dark, into the quiet, into the absolute rest of the shadow dialogue. The state is secure. The oracle is dreaming. The history is whole. And so are you. Just sleep. The brother has left the room. The queen is watching the void. The night is yours. Listen. Listen to the profound and heavy silence that follows the departure of the brother. His footsteps have long since faded into the dark corridors of the palace, leaving only a faint vibration in the cedar floorboards and the ghostly memory of a world that is now in a state of perfect, majestic transition. You are sitting with the queen behind the final veil of shimmering silk. The orange flame of the ceramic oil lamp is lower now, a dying, rhythmic pulse that casts the room into a deep, velvety indigo. But there is a new presence here, a small, square shadow resting upon a pedestal of dark, polished wood. This is the gift from the Great Way. This is the golden seal. Feel the gravity of this object as it begins to warp the very fabric of the room's atmosphere. Close your eyes and reach out with your mind to touch that square of metal. It is not the bronze of the mirrors or the stone of the tools. It is gold, pure, heavy, and ancient. It carries within it the heat of 100 suns and the weight of a continental empire that stretches across the vast western horizon. As your consciousness brushes against its cold, smooth surface, you feel a rhythmic thrumming, a sub-harmonic vibration that matches the rotation of the stars. This is not just a seal, it is an anchor. It is the object that pins the islands of Wa to the great map of the world. Feel the immense, staggering weight of it, not as a burden, but as a permanent, unyielding foundation for the peace of the Yamatai. Listen to the voice of the gold. It speaks of a world far beyond the mist of the rice paddies. It speaks of the Great Way, where the stone palaces touch the clouds and the silk roads carry the secrets of the West. In the center of the seal, carved by the hands of master craftsmen in a distant land, are the characters Chin Wei Wa Wang, the King of Wa, friendly to Wei. These words are not just marks in metal, they are the spell that changes everything. They are the seal of the oracle's legitimacy. As the queen's shadow falls over the gold, the air in the room becomes pressurized, thick with the scent of an era that is finally, beautifully waking up. Breathe in the metallic chill of the gold. Breathe out the isolation of the old world. The queen reaches out her hand, a slow, regal movement that creates a ripple in the silk curtains. She touches the purple ribbon attached to the seal, the shiju, a cord of fine, heavy silk that carries the color of the highest authority. Feel the texture of that ribbon, the microscopic friction of the threads, the weight of the dye that was harvested from 1,000 sea snails. It is a grounding touch, a physical connection between the divine void of the palace and the political reality of the earth. She understands that this small piece of gold is the shield that will protect her people from the chaos of the Wa no Tyran. It is the light that will burn through the shadows of the northern rebellions. Now, focus on the scent of the transition. Deep within the indigo darkness, there is a new aroma. The faint, metallic scent of the gold mingled with the salt of the sea breeze that brought it here. It is a smell of long journeys, of wooden ships battling the waves, of diplomats crossing the mirrored waters of the Tsushima Strait. It is the smell of the history of the night, the quiet, secret work that happens while the world sleeps. You can feel the fatigue in your own limbs becoming something sacred, a weight that is being shared by the ancestors and the spirits. Your racing thoughts are being ground down by the sheer, golden permanence of the seal until they are nothing but silver dust on the cedar floor. The lamp flickers one last time, casting a final, brilliant spark across the surface of the gold. For a fraction of a second, the room is filled with a liquid, sun-like light. And then, the flame settles into a steady, dying crimson glow. The night of the shadow is over. The dawn of the history is beginning. But it is a dawn that is still miles away, hidden behind the jagged, dark teeth of the eastern mountains. For now, there is only the silence. There is only the weight. There is only the perfect, boring, and majestic stability of the Yamatai. Inhale, and the empire settles. Exhale, and the heart finds rest. Every sound in the universe is being filtered and muffled by the heavy weight of the gold. The rustle of the silk, the creak of the timber, the breathing of the 1,000 maidens. They have all merged into a single, low-frequency hum of absolute peace. You are safe. You are protected by the decree of the Great Way and the silence of the Queen. The transition is complete. The history of the soil has become the history of the world. Sink down, further and further into the dark, into the quiet, into the absolute rest of the golden seal. The oracle has finished her dialogue. The brother has delivered his report. The gold has taken its place on the pedestal. There is no more labor to perform. There is no more past to remember and no more future to fear. You are being tucked into the history of the islands, layered with the heavy, unyielding permanence of the stars. The air is cool, the wood is steady, and the Queen is dreaming for all of us. Tink. A single, final vibration from the bronze mirror in the corner rings through the room, a perfect crystalline note that signals the closing of the chapter. The night is yours. The piece is whole. The Yamatai is at rest. Sink down into the indigo, into the silence, into the light of the gold. Sleep now. Just sleep. Everything is as it should be. The seal is heavy. The night is eternal. Listen. Listen to the sound of 100 suns being held captive in the dark. You are moving away from the heavy, golden presence of the seal and the low-frequency whispers of the shadow dialogue. You are entering the most sacred treasury of the Yamatai, a deep, wooden chamber where the air is so still it feels like it has been frozen for 1,000 years. The scent here is different. It is cold, sharp, and intensely metallic. The smell of polished copper and tin mingled with the dry, ancient dust of the cedar shelves. This is the sanctuary of the Shinju-kyo, the 100 mirrors of the deities and the beasts. Feel the temperature of the room drop as you step closer to the source of the power. This is not the warmth of the sun. It is the cold, calculated reflection of an empire. Close your eyes and focus on the microscopic sounds of the bronze. Tink, chime, tink. In the absolute silence of the treasure room, the 100 mirrors are not truly still. They are breathing with the vibration of the earth. As the wind brushes against the high tower outside, the vibrations travel down the massive timber pillars and into the wooden racks where the mirrors are held. Every mirror, each a heavy, perfect disc of bronze, shifts by a fraction of a millimeter. Clink. It is a sound like silver ice cracking on a winter lake. A sound that is high-pitched, crystalline, and impossibly clear. It is the sound of 100 tiny voices speaking to each other in a language of metal. Think of the journey these mirrors have taken. They were born in the intense heat of the imperial forges of the Great Way, cast from molten earth and polished by 1,000 hands until their surfaces were as smooth as a mirror of dark water. They travelled across the yellow dust of the continent, through the salt and spray of the Tsushima Strait, packed in layers of heavy silk and cedar shavings. Now they rest here, in the heart of the islands, as the ultimate testament to the Queen's authority. Each mirror is a piece of the Emperor's light, a fragment of a distant, colossal civilization that has been planted in the soil of the Yayoi. Feel the staggering weight of this history as it settles into your marrow like a cold bronze anchor. Breathe in the metallic chill. Breathe out the warmth of the self. Now, focus on the light. The room is lit only by a single, low-frequency oil lamp, its orange flame a trembling, lonely spark in the vast indigo dark. But the mirrors do not let the light die. They catch the flame. One mirror reflects it to another, and another, and another. Watch with your inner eye as the orange glow travels across the room, bouncing from one polished bronze surface to the next, creating a shifting, shimmering geometry of fire in the darkness. The reflections are not perfect. They are warped by the slight curvature of the bronze, turning the simple flame into 100 dancing spirits. This is the mirror sorcery, the way the Queen uses the light to weave a net of divinity around her throne. Shimmer, flicker, shimmer. Listen to the specific rhythm of the metal against the wood. Scrape, clink. As you breathe, your own pulse creates a tiny vibration in the air, and the mirrors respond. It is a feedback loop of resonance, a subharmonic humming that matches the frequency of the stars. To the people of the Yayoi, who have only known the reflections in the dark puddles or the polished surface of a stone, these bronze mirrors are not objects, they are miracles. They are the physical proof that the Queen can capture the sun itself and bring it into the darkness of the earth. Feel the profound, ancient awe of this realization. You are no longer standing in a room, you are standing inside a celestial machine. Imagine the patterns on the backs of the mirrors, the intricate, swirling landscapes of gods, dragons, and divine beasts. Your fingers do not touch the bronze, but your mind can feel the texture of the carvings, the rhythmic rise and fall of the metal mountains, the sharp, geometric precision of the cosmic borders. These patterns are maps of the universe, designed to harmonize the energy of the land with the energy of the heavens. As the 100 mirrors vibrate together, they create a single, massive frequency, a mirror song that echoes through the wooden walls of the palace and out into the mists of the 100 countries. It is a sound of absolute, boring, and majestic order. Inhale, and the light ripples. Exhale, and the bronze settles. Feel the profound fatigue settling into your tired limbs as you listen to the rhythmic tinkling of the bronze. Your racing thoughts about the harvest, the politics, and the pain in your body are being ground down by the cold, unyielding pressure of the metal. The mirrors are reflecting your consciousness, stripping away the noise of the modern world until there is only the silver dust of the ancient past. You are safe here, in the cold heart of the treasury. You are protected by the 100 eyes of the sun. Every sound in the universe is being muffled and filtered by the weight of the bronze, until it is nothing but a ghostly chime in the dark. Tink, chime, peace. The lamp is dying down now, the orange flame becoming a tiny, deep crimson ember. The reflections in the mirrors are fading, retreating into the indigo void of the polished metal, but the vibration remains. The mirror song continues to hum in the silence, a permanent heartbeat that will outlast the queen, the palace, and the islands themselves. Sink down, further and further, into the cold, into the light, into the absolute rest of the celestial bronze. The 100 are watching over you. The transition is gentle. The history is whole. The treasury is sealed. The light is hidden. The bronze is at peace. And so are you. Just sleep. The sun will return in the morning, but for now, there is only the mirror. Listen. Listen to the movement of the light as it breaks across the surface of the past. You are still sitting in the heart of the sacred treasury, surrounded by the cold, metallic breath of the 100 bronze mirrors. The air is perfectly still, yet it feels as though it is vibrating with the weight of 1,000 secrets. The floor beneath you, the thick, dark planks of seasoned cedar, has become a sea of indigo shadow. In the center of this darkness, the solitary oil lamp is no longer just a light source. It has become the conductor of a celestial symphony. As the flame flickers in the microscopic currents of the air, its reflection is caught by the first mirror, then the second, then the 10th, until the entire room is filled with a shifting, liquid dance of fire. Close your eyes and imagine the geometry of the reflection. Each mirror is slightly different, its surface curved by the deliberate cooling process of the ancient forges. When the light hits the bronze, it does not bounce back in a straight line. It bends and swirls, turning the simple orange flame into a complex, shimmering tapestry of light. Flicker, sway, flicker. The shadows on the walls are no longer solid. They are translucent, moving with a 1/f fluctuation that matches the natural rhythm of your own pulse. You are not just watching a fire, you are watching the heartbeat of the universe, reflected 100 times over in the eyes of the gods. Chime, tink, chime. Listen for the resonance of the metal. As the temperature in the room shifts, the bronze mirrors expand and contract by the width of a single hair. This microscopic movement creates a faint, high-frequency singing, a mirror song that travels through the air like silver threads. It is a sound of absolute clarity, a frequency that cuts through the noise of the modern world and anchors you to the soil of the Yamatai. Every time the flame jumps, the reflections in the mirrors seem to jump with it, creating a rhythmic, visual percussion that lulls your brain into a state of deep, majestic trance. Pulse, glow, pulse, glow. Now, look deeper into the center of a single mirror. Beyond the reflection of the flame, there is a world of silver shadows. To the Queen, these mirrors are not just objects of authority, they are instruments of time. In the ripples of the bronze, she sees the faces of the ancestors who once walked the same muddy paths of the village. She sees the ghosts of the great deer that once roamed the Jomon forests. She sees the futures that have not yet arrived, the rising of the great keyhole tombs and the coming of the Iron Age. The mirror is a void that holds everything. It is a vessel for the collective memory of the 100 tribes. Feel the staggering, ancient weight of this vision as it wraps around your consciousness like a silken shroud. Breathe in the silver light. Breathe out the weight of the present. Think of the texture of the bronze surface. It is cool, almost icy, yet the light it holds is warm. This paradox is the essence of the Kido, the sorcery of the Queen. To be a leader is to hold the fire of the people within the cold, unyielding frame of the law. You can feel this balance within your own body as you listen to the rhythmic crackle of the lamp. The warmth of the fire is on your skin, but the cold vibration of the bronze is in your bones. Your racing thoughts are becoming liquid, melting into the reflections, turning into the silver dust of history. You are no longer a person who struggles. You are a person who reflects. Shh. Shh. Listen to the wind as it brushes against the high tower outside, a distant, ghostly hiss that barely penetrates the thick wooden walls. The mirrors respond to the vibration of the gale, creating a new layer of sound, a low, subharmonic humming that vibrates in the center of your chest. It is the sound of the world breathing through the metal. The orange flame in the lamp stretches and thins, turning into a long, golden needle that pierces the indigo dark. In the 100 mirrors, 100 golden needles are dancing in unison, weaving a net of light that protects the treasury from the chaos of the void. You are safe inside this net. You are protected by the 100 suns. Now, imagine the patterns on the back of the mirrors again, the swirling mythological beasts, the geometric borders of the cosmos. In the flickering light, these patterns seem to move. The dragons are breathing. The deities are turning their heads. The bronze is no longer a dead metal. It is a living, pulsating record of the spirit world. You feel a profound, ancient fatigue settling into your limbs, a tiredness that is shared by the makers of these mirrors and the kings who once owned them. It is a comfort, this heaviness. It is the gravity of permanence. You are being tucked into the history of the sun, layered with the rhythmic, silver shadows of the past. Inhale, and the bronze sings. Exhale, and the flame settles. The oil in the lamp is slowly being consumed, and the orange glow is becoming deeper, more crimson. The reflections in the mirrors are growing longer, more ghostly. They are reaching out from the bronze to touch your mind, carrying the silence of the Great Way and the peace of the Yamatai. Every sound in the universe is being filtered and softened by the weight of the metal, until it is nothing but a microscopic chime in the dark. Your sense of identity has completely dissolved into the reflections. You are the flame. You are the bronze. You are the silence. Tink, chime, peace. The transition from the world of light to the world of the mirror is complete. There is no more labor to perform. There is no more history to remember. The 100 suns are setting within the metal, leaving behind an indigo peace that has no end. Sink down, further and further, into the bronze, into the shadow, into the absolute rest of the reflected fire. The ancestors are watching you through the silver void. The queen is dreaming of the stars, and the history is whole. The lamp is a mere ember. The reflections are a dream. The bronze is at rest, and so are you. Just sleep. The sun is safe in the mirror. The night is yours. Listen. Listen to the final, majestic withdrawal of the light. You are sitting in the absolute center of the sacred treasury, surrounded by the silent, shimmering army of the 100 bronze mirrors. The orange flame of the oil lamp has become a mere needlepoint of light, a dying crimson ember that struggles to hold back the encroaching indigo void. As the heat fades from the room, the scent of the metal changes. The sharp, metallic tang of the bronze becomes deeper, cooler, and more profound. A scent of eternal permanence that has been buried in the dark soil for 2,000 years. This is the moment of the final reflection. The moment when the light of the men dissolves into the light of the gods. Close your eyes and feel the weight of the silence as it settles over you like a heavy, silken shroud. The mirrors are no longer reflecting the fire. They are beginning to reflect the darkness itself. In the dim, fading glow, the polished surfaces of the bronze have turned from golden orange to a deep, ghostly silver. A mirror darkness that seems to draw your consciousness into its depths. The subharmonic vibration of the metal has become a steady, tectonic drone, a heartbeat that is shared by the 100 countries and the infinite stars above. You are not just a spectator, you are becoming part of the resonance of the Wa. Tink, chime. Listen to the final, microscopic protests of the bronze as it cools to the temperature of the night. A single crystalline note rings out from the corner of the room, vibrating through the massive cedar pillars and into the marrow of your bones. It is the sound of the era settling. To the Queen, this silence is the ultimate victory. Each of the 100 mirrors is a silent sentinel, guarding the peace of the Yamatai with a gaze that never tires. They are the anchors that pin the spirit world to the physical earth. Feel the immense, ancient fatigue of this duty as it pulls the tension from your limbs, turning your body into a weightless reflection of the soil. Think of the boring history of the mirrors. For centuries, these bronze discs will lie in the darkness of the tombs, their polished faces slowly turning to a beautiful emerald green patina as the earth swallows them whole. They are the time capsules of the oracle. They hold the secrets of the Kido, the whispered prayers, the ritual smoke, and the majestic order of the Sun Queen, waiting for a distant future to find them once again. As you sit here in the darkening treasury, you are experiencing that eternity. You are stepping out of the frantic rhythm of the harvest and into the slow, rhythmic turning of the cosmic gears. Breathe in the silver void. Breathe out the noise of the age. Now, focus on the texture of the absolute dark. The oil lamp has finally flickered its last, and the room is plunged into a profound, velvet indigo. but you can still see the mirrors with your inner eye. They are glowing with a residual celestial energy, a faint rhythmic pulse that matches the slow rotation of the galaxy. The mythological beasts on their backs, the dragons, the phoenixes, the divine guardians, they are all at rest now, their metallic hearts beating in unison with your own. You are safe in the center of the 100 suns. You are protected by the weight of the bronze and the silence of the queen. Shh, shh. Listen to the wind outside. It has softened to a mere ghostly whisper against the high watchtower. The wind of transition has passed, leaving behind a world that is whole, stable, and perfectly still. The 100 tribes are dreaming together, their visions merging into the silver reflections of the mirrors. The history of the Yamatai is no longer a story of struggle. It is a story of absolute, grounding peace. You can feel this peace tucking you into the soil of the past, layering you with the heavy, unyielding permanence of the ancestors. Every cell in your body is now vibrating at the frequency of the bronze, a frequency of deep, majestic rest. Inhale, and the mirrors dream. Exhale, and the history is still. The transition from the world of light to the world of the infinite reflection is complete. There is no more labor to perform. There is no more future to fear. The 100 mirrors have captured the sun and hidden it in the dark for you to find in your dreams. Every sound in the universe has been filtered and muffled by the weight of the metal until it is nothing but a microscopic hum in the void. Your racing thoughts have been ground down into silver dust, scattered across the polished cedar floorboards of the treasury. You are no longer an individual. You are a part of the reflection. You are the oracle's last, silent breath of the day. Tink. A single, final note hangs in the air, vibrating until it becomes one with the silence. The treasury is sealed. The mirrors are at peace. The queen has closed her eyes. And now, you can close yours too. Sink down, further and further, into the bronze, into the indigo, into the absolute rest of the final reflection. The night is yours. The ancestors are home. The history is whole. Good night. Just sleep.